Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today we're going to be talking about my 10 favorite fantasy shows. The first one on the shopping block is Claymore. Claymore started out as a manga in 2001, and then it got made into an anime show in 2007. But around 2007, the anime show got ahead of the manga, and it's like a 24 episode thing. So then the ending of the anime show is different from the ending of the manga, and it gets like I actually read further up ahead in the Claymore manga. The long and short of it is that it needs a remake, or it needs to continue after the battle with Rigaldo, completely ignoring the last two episodes of the anime show.
Like they could do like a Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood thing, and they just redid the whole thing from scratch.
Yeah, and then yeah. I mean, it's a very good dark fantasy action show. Killing monsters and stuff. And it starts with Claire, who's and there's some weird monsters called Yomas, and then there's the Claymore, which is our titular character maiden, who fight them. And in order to gain the strength in order to fight those monsters, the organization puts into their bodies the blood of the monsters until not they become full monster. They gotta like avoid completely transforming, otherwise they completely lose their humanity. And some of the other bosses in the later episodes are claymores that went too much over the edge, and they became the thing that they were trying to destroy. And that's
One of it is you have a company that is creating the problem and the solution at the same time.
that's a spoiler. That's a spoiler of the manga. You spoil the twist of the manga. But then again, Teresa of like the faint smile tells you that spells it out for you in episode 8, where they be like, oh, what happens if we don't have money to pay the claymore for their services? Then she be like, well, then the company's gonna send a monster to slaughter you for not paying us. She wasn't joking about that. They legit did that if you didn't pay the cover. So then it's like a bunch of rustic people in medieval society being plagued by a shady organization that creates a monster, and also yeah, and also the monster killers in order to stiff money out of it. And then the maidens who are made into claymores, they're just the warriors there that are not even aware that the people who turn them into monsters are even doing that. And the reason why the claymores are 100% female is just that the guys who get turned into claymores, they tend to like go berserk faster than women. So then they be like, well, women are usually more pretty shields, so we'll just start using women instead because they're easy to control. But yeah, that's Claymore in a nutshell. And now you know the twist of the manga, who's the real bad guy in the story. But sorry. Alright, Fairy Tale. Like it's based on like a manga that has like 63 volumes, so it is One Piece long. And last time I visited the library, I saw that even other characters are starting to get their own mangas focused on them. So just imagine if like One Piece they went from focusing on Luffy, and then they made it all about, and then they made a completely different manga just focusing on Solo or Navi or
They already have their own branching path. Naruto's also doing that. Now there's a whole side manga focused on Sasuke and a completely different focusing on Guy Sensei and all of that.
yeah.
Prequels and sequels and
The point is that you're gonna be there for a long time if you if Fairy Tail is a big franchise, and like it got made into an anime show in 2013, and it's got a gazillions of episodes, and they're still bringing out new episodes, I think. And if you get into that series, you're gonna be there for a while.
fun series.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of magic people doing various missions under a guild, but then, but from time to time they got like major plot points where the guilds get into fight with each other, or like a big boss, or like a dragon shows up, and then it becomes like a whole cutscene event. But yeah, but that's basically just well, like it gets a little, like it's a little bleaching with regards to the plot, or Dragon Ball Z, where to be a more accurate example, where the plot is just there to move the main character from fight, from action set piece to action set piece. So if you like flashy magic shows and fairy tales and things,
All of the bad guys eventually become good guys, and then the new good guys are the end.
yeah, but yeah, the better comparison is Dragon Ball Z, because in Bleach they kill their bad guys, except for Aizen that was too strong to be killed. But most of the bad guys in Bleach they don't survive the season. Yeah, the Soul the Soul Reapers in Bleach they reap a lot. And some even do the other from reap to whatever. Gate. Like Gate is started like it's based on like a series of light novels, and it got made into like an anime show in 2015 by Tokyo MX. And it was streamed everywhere in Crunchyroll, but since Crunchyroll got bought out, now you can't see it in now the anime situation in Japan is like a mess, with this having like a virtual monopoly on everything anime. So whatever. When there's a will, there's a way, and I'm not gonna explain it. The other ways you can go about getting around this. Well, the point is that it starts like a normal Japanese military guy, and then like the title says, a gate opens, and then like a bunch of like fantasy people show up, and they kidnap a bunch of people from like Tokyo, who be like, wait, it's like dragons and horse riders and centurions. What the hell's going on? I'm not taking. So then it's just the Japanese government dealing with like a weird fantasy world that opened like a weird gate time portal, and then it's a military dude shooting like bazookas and stuff, and magical people and fairies and dragons. That's like a crazy.
Even if you have helicopter driving, you can either watch Rain of Fire or watch this.
Yeah, it feels like this was inspired by Rain of Fire in a way, because Rain of Fire came first.
By the way, Loli Mercury is like the best character in the series, like 100%.
Oh yeah, she's hilarious. Just a great design too.
Also, she's canonically a tank because her ability is that she can take all of the damage that everybody around her takes onto herself, but she has a lot of HP, so she can actually.
Yeah, like in high regeneration.
Tank.
Yeah, she's a tank in RPG gaming. In RPG gaming style wise. Tank, Lord. And there are bonus party, you got like the night chick, the spell.
Damage where he's a glass cannon.
Yeah, he is literally a glass cannon because it's the bazooka, but he gets hit, that's it.
But then you have the tank that absorbs all of the damage, so he keeps surviving, and then you have the.
And he has the dancer in distress.
And the healer who also keeps the
body alive. But yeah, it's just a bunch of nice warriors and but a nice classical fantasy anime show with a weird modern twist. The next one on the shopping block is Kaze no Stigma, which means like the stigma of the wind. Is based on like a light novel series written by Takahiro Yamato. And the anime show, it eventually came out in 2007. And it's basically like this guy that got exiled from the fire tribe because he couldn't like do fire. So then he eventually made a contract with like a type of with a wind demon or something, and then he gained the ability to use wind. So then Somebody gets murdered in his family, and since he happened to be nearby, and then a lot of people start thinking that he's the murderer, that he came back to murder his family with crazy wind power. So then he has to like clear his name while fighting a bunch of like random assassins and stuff. So it's just mostly a family melodrama, and the magic is mostly elemental. You know, one fire person is on fire. There's also a lightning person, and you know. But it's not well, kind of like fairy tale, because fairy tale people, they just stick to one element at a time. This one is the next oh yeah, and there's also like the romance between like the main characters, so it also falls under a bit of a romance, because they're engaged to like be married, but you know, as with arranged marriages, everything falls apart because like they hate each other's guts. But you know, it's a enemies to lovers type of story. The next fantasy anime show was mentioning. Well, it just Madoka Magica also falls under sci-fi, because they get their magical powers from like the weird little bunny is an alien that gives them magical abilities. So
Abilities they perceive as magical.
well,
It turns out that it's all sci-fi.
yeah, but well, eventually it's just like what my brother says, that eventually like science gets so far advanced that like if you go back in time and you use a flashlight in front of like a caveman, he's gonna like flip out, because and then as things are right now, the science is so advanced that you will perceive it that other people from other times will perceive all of the things we take for granted as magic, you know, the ability to speak to someone halfway across the world, or just to ghost him, or do that instead. But whatever. The anime show came out in let me see, like in the early to like in 2000, like in 2011, and it's only like 12 episodes, but there are 12 really good episodes. It shows you like the power of quality versus quantity, because a lot of anime shows, they just stretch the plot, and then it just seems like they have absolutely no ideas most of the time. But yeah, and then like even though the show's Madoka and tells her that that she's gonna be like a magic user, the entire plot of the show is her Homura trying to keep Madoka from like becoming a magical girl, because of plot reasons. And I'm not gonna like explain you like those reasons, cause like then I would just spoil the entire ending of the plot. But yeah, and then magical girls fighting witches. The next one is Magi, the Magic Labyrinth, and this anime show is based on like the story of Aladdin in like the 1001 Nights, but it also adds all the stories from over there, and it's just like the reason why it mentions like the magical labyrinth is because they climb out, they explore. Alara and his friend explore towers that appear in certain places, and then they gain random magical abilities here and there. But like the labyrinths are difficult, and then like in the other season, he goes to like a magic school for a bit, and you know. It's just like the show doesn't remain with the magical labyrinth, with the labyrinth of magic for a bit. You know, they eventually move on to other things, which is nice. It keeps it fresh that not all of the seasons are exactly the same. And like the manga ran from 2009 to 2017, and like the anime shows came out in like 2000, in like the anime show, it came out around the time, like a couple like in 2013, and it has like 25 episodes, but then it also got like another season that has that is not listed as the Magic Labyrinth, because they're doing something else, but it's still basically Magi following the main kid character and some other stuff. The next fantasy anime show that I want to talk about is Overlord. Well, it's like like the first season it came out in 2000 in 2015, and it's basically like a parody of you know, of like a power fantasy of that the main character is so peace. It follows like in the same tradition as like One Punch Man, and like the main character, he's a regular human that was playing like an online game, and then one day on the last day that the server closed down, he gets transported to another world. Well, but he keeps all of him, but not as in his human form, but as he becomes one with like his overlord character, and then he just adapting to like the new world and the weird rules that are happening there. But at least he has all of his maximum stats, but it's no longer like it has still some video game elements here and there, but he's not living in a video game world, or is he? But because since the overall character, he's not very certain about his own reality, and even right at the beginning, he's just very confused by the situation, and he's just adapting, you know. And it's like very amusing. It's and the fights are like very amusing, even though most of the time it's one-sided. Whenever like this bastard just feels like leaving his throne in order to do battle, like if they were doing like another season of Overlord, it would be fun if he would like fight somebody that was at his same level or something, or somebody that debuffs him into level 1 or something. Or, just to see the character struggle a bit, cause like it can get a little stale to just like the One Punch Man, that he's always like the strongest person over there, and he only felt remotely alive when he fought someone that he felt that was posed a little bit of a challenge. The record of Londoss War, this anime show, it came out in 1990, and it was Japan's answer to the Dungeons and Dragons in the US. So this is basically Dungeons and Dragons in Japan. Like in its physical medium format, it has like the campaign books, etc. And the record of Londoss War is the reason why in all of the fantasy anime shows, by law, there has to be a blonde elf maiden, and usually she's in love with like the main character by Japanese law logic, because the record of Londoss War made it fashionable, and then and she's usually wearing green as well.
No, even in Gate, there's a female elf-looking character who's in love with the main character as well.
Yeah,
romantic main interest.
Who's basically a split image of the elf maiden from the record of Londoss War. So yeah, that cliche of the elf romantic blonde interest, it started with the Japanese Dungeons and Dragons.
Isn't that the anime where they slapped off on the animation of the dragons?
Oh yeah. Like it has a lot of good animation at the beginning, and then they ran out of money at the end. So then like the animation of the dragon was.
Like they didn't have one where just a picture of a dragon moved to the left and to the right while being zoomed in, and then they would switch back to the characters fighting
the henchmen of the dragon, because like they ran out of money. Yeah,
it's right away. Like the first few episodes, they had a really good budget, and then they started slacking the animation.
Yeah, and then they ran out of money. Well, maybe the others see it, because maybe the other records of Londoss War got a little better, because we only saw like the original OVA of the third, but there are other animation, but there are other.
Actually, eventually got a better budget once the game caught on in Japan.
Yeah, but the first anime rendition of it is fun, but like you gotta seriously suspend your disbelief with the final boss dragon. Like imagine if like the final boss in like a Dark Souls game was like looked like a PS1 graphic because it ran out of money. He moved like 1-2. They should do that as
Yeah,
a
it goes
trope.
from like hyper realism to some of the PS1 graphics. You would notice right away that there's something up with the
Yeah, there's something up with that dragon. Well, that's not spoiling anything of the plot, you know. Just know, making you aware that there's a dragon boss close to the end that looks.
It's incredible.
No, it doesn't look like it. The dragon itself is good. It's just that he moves terrible. Like somebody's moving a picture left or
No, that
right.
is exactly what is happening. The dragon doesn't actually move. They just they just rotate the picture of the dragon as they zoom it in order to like mimic motion. It's
Yeah,
the cheapest possible animation you can do
yeah. So
with generic roars on the background. Like they had the
yeah.
Wilhelm scream and like
Oh my god. And
lion screaming for the dragon voice.
yeah. That's another thing like that they do a lot in Japan. Like, enough with overkilling the goblins.
Yeah. No,
And
many of these guys racist. You can go into that a lot.
yeah, that could be its own thing. The disguised racism or goblin slaying, whatever. But we're not here to talk about that
Yeah.
yet. Yet. The next anime show, fantasy one, is Slayers, and it's it started it's like from 1996, and then it got like another season like in 2010 with like more modern graphics, and it was for mostly good. And here's like the main character girl Lina Inverse and like her 9-inch shiny armor. Well, not a shiny armor. He has like the fancy sword. And the gimmick of that sword is that like those who use it they tend to like lose their minds or something. But he's immune to his effect because like he's an airhead. You know, he doesn't have a mind to. It's a joke on like his stupidity and stuff. But yeah. And then it's just dealing with like they have like a for the first couple of seasons they have like a Naraku type of boss, and then she gets a different final boss elsewhere. But for the first couple of seasons it's this guy in his different Ganondorf versions. But yeah, and of course the magic.
The spells and the way that they introduce magic in that show.
Yeah, like, they do a lot of fun magic and chanting and stuff, and she keeps talking, beefing up her sister. Yeah, you think I'm great? My older sister's even better, but we never see the older sister do anything on screen in the show.
Also, the reason why she's called Lina Inverse gets explained in chapter 2, and is that she has a reverse spell similar to Final Fantasy 13, where if they do damage to her, she heals from it for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
She never uses it after that one episode.
Yeah, just one episode, one and that. But then she in a different episode she like gets Aiden, and you be like, wow, you really could have used that inverse spell. That inverse spell would have come helpful by then. My what spell?
But yeah. So yeah, the reason why she's called Lina Inverse, it's completely removed from the anime after.
They forget about it.
Yeah.
It's like a one and done deal.
So now she's like Lina last name Inverse, and they give her a second reason why she's called Lina Inverse further on.
Because they forgot the first reason. Yeah. So yeah, that's Slayers in a nutshell. Alright, like the last fantasy anime show we're mentioning is Soul Eater. And it's like people who turn into weapons that fight witches and demons. But then the main bad guy was one of their hunters that he was afraid of dying, so then he started devouring like a bunch of like demon souls and like regular human souls in order to like gain strength, and then he eventually became a demon by eating the souls of the innocent.
Basically the plot of Demon Souls.
Oh yeah, it's basically this. You could almost say that this is very, very close to like a dark type of thing. It said that even with the random invader encounter, but it's done within like a school setting. But they don't.
It's a great show to watch in Halloween. Like if you're gonna watch it, do it on the October 31st.
Yeah, it has a lot. It has like a lot of fun Halloween aesthetics, and it's like it has like 51 episodes, and it ran in and it started like in 2000, in like 2008. And there's some differences between like the manga and like the anime show, because the character Excalibur, I guess like the people who made the anime show hated him so much, so then they only did 2 episodes with him, while in the manga, he's there constantly, almost like the mascot, just being an overall heel on everyone.
Like he literally is the one who tells Death the kid how his father died. You know how he did it? He's like, "Your father's dead, fool." He's like, "What?"
Die!
Like that's like the worst way you can break the news to someone.
Yeah.
And Excalibur can literally defeat the King if he wanted to, but it's like,
But he's too much of a diva to bother lifting a finger for mankind. But he'd be like, well, if you think about it, he just warrior that got tired of fighting everyone else's battle, and now he wants. I mean, why is he getting out of fighting? He wants what he thinks he deserves for all of the dice he's fought. Cause in King Arthur, how many fights did the sword Excalibur, the one for his king, and what did
and he
he?
just shoved it into a river.
And then he chucked it into a river when he didn't need him anymore. If you look at it from that perspective, he's just like an OP person who's like pissed and not getting what he deserved. And I mean, not like in a bad way, but like like being a goody two shoe hero doesn't put food on the table. And I want food on my table because I'm starving. But yeah, that's Soul Eater in a nutshell. I hope you find my review of like these fantasy anime shows amusing. Bye bye and God bless.